I wasn't supposed to be alive. The moment they discovered who I really was, the true heir to the billion-dollar E family, I saw the look in their eyes shift from cold indifference to murderous intent. At 18, I was dragged into the mansion like a stray dog they couldn't quite kill in public. They said I was the bastard child of a dying mistress. They made me eat in the servants' quarters, walk 5 steps behind, and never look anyone in the eye. You. The heir? My half-brother scoffed the day the old man wheeled out the will. Is this some kind of joke? It wasn't. The DNA test was undeniable. The title, the shares, the empire, it was all mine. But what they didn't know, was that I didn't want any of it. Not after what they did to my mother. Not after the night she died outside the gates, coughing blood, begging them to let me in. I stood there, numb, the signed documents in my pocket. I'd already given up the inheritance. I gave up the fight. Giving up living. All I wanted was to disappear quietly. To die in peace. But just as I swallowed the pills, ready to end it all, my phone rang. And what I heard on the other end made my heart stop. She found out the truth, the voice whispered, shaking. Your mother's death, it wasn't natural. And now they're coming after you. I wasn't always this cold. There was a time I believed in birthdays, laughter, and the warmth of a home, even if that home was a run-down apartment and the laughter was just my mother's voice humming in the kitchen. She used to say, you don't need the world to love you, baby. Just one person who never gives up on you. I'll be that person. Her name was Mei Lin. A quiet woman with tired eyes and gentle hands. She was a nurse, always working overtime, always making miracles from scraps. And me? I was her miracle. She never told me who my father was, not until she got sick. I was 16 when she collapsed at work. Stage 4 lung cancer. With no money for treatment and no family support, I watched her slowly fade. I begged hospitals, called relatives I never met, even stood outside the mansion of the man she whispered about from her hospital bed, Izhen, CEO of E Holdings. He used to love me, she said, eyes glassy from the morphine. You were born from that love. But when he chose his legacy over us, I stayed silent. I didn't want to ruin your life with his name. I remember the guards pushing me away from the gates, the rain soaking through my clothes, the sting of humiliation as they laughed. And then she died. No funeral. No flowers. Just me and her worn-down suitcase. After that, I was angry, at the world, at him, at myself for being born. I scraped by, working nights at a convenience store and sleeping behind the building. I didn't dream. I didn't plan. I just counted days until I could disappear for good. Until one day, a black car pulled up beside me. A man in a suit stepped out and handed me an envelope. Inside, a DNA result, and an invitation to the E estate. Izhen was dying. And his final wish? To meet the son he abandoned. At first, I laughed. Then I tore the letter. But something, maybe my mother's ghost, made me tape it back together. I went. I shouldn't have. The estate was colder than I imagined. Every marble tile, every gold chandelier, every fake smile, it all screamed of rot. I met Izhen. He couldn't speak. Just stared at me with teary eyes and nodded weakly as the lawyer read the will. I was named the sole heir. And just like that, the wolves turned. My half-brother Yifeng, the darling of the empire, glared at me like I spat on his life. His fiancée, Shenro, who once smiled sweetly at charity events, now looked at me like I was the dirt on her designer heels. The staff barely spoke to me. My room was the same old servants' quarters. At meals, they talked around me, laughed like I didn't exist. But I didn't care. I didn't want their empire. I just wanted my mother back. So I signed it away. Every share. Every asset. I was ready to leave. Until the night the pills hit my tongue, and someone called to say my mother's death wasn't what it seemed. And suddenly, I had something left to live for. The pills were already halfway down my throat when my phone rang again. Unknown number. I should have ignored it. But something inside me, maybe instinct, maybe fate, made my fingers swipe across the screen. A woman's voice, urgent, trembling. Don't hang up. I knew your mother. Mei Lin. I froze. My name is Dr. Chen. I used to work at the private hospital where she was treated. I was there, the night she died. My chest tightened. Why are you calling now? Because I saw your name in the news today, she whispered. The Heir who showed up and vanished. I thought you were dead. But if you're not, then you deserve to know the truth. I sat on the cold floor, knees pulled to my chest, the bitter taste of the pills rising up my throat. What truth? There was a pause. She didn't die from cancer. What are you talking about? She was improving. The last few weeks, it was like something changed. Her vitals were stabilizing. But then one night, she had a sudden collapse. Her file disappeared. The cameras on her floor were wiped. And the very next day, E Holdings bought out the hospital. I couldn't breathe. Why would anyone? Because she had something they didn't want released, the doctor said quietly. She told me once, just once, that she had proof. About her relationship with Yi Zhen. About the deals, the cover-ups, and something else, something involving your half-brother. She said she kept the original somewhere safe, in case anything happened to her. The call dropped. Just like that. I sat there in silence, heart pounding. Proof? Of what? I didn't sleep that night. I didn't speak for 2 days. But I didn't die either. Instead, I went back to the mansion. To hell. Yifeng was waiting. Smiling. I heard you changed your mind, he said, clapping me on the shoulder like we were old friends. Dodd. I nodded. Let him think I was crawling back for scraps. That night, I snuck into my mother's old apartment, the one she lived in before everything fell apart. I found the shoebox under the floorboards. Inside, photos, documents, and a tiny cassette recorder. I played it. Her voice came through, weak but steady. If you're listening to this, it means I'm gone. And they got away with it. But listen closely, baby. Yifeng, he isn't who they think he is. The deals he made, the things he did to keep his place, they buried the truth with me. But now it's yours. The tape ended. My hands trembled. I stared at the box. And I realized, I wasn't just the forgotten heir anymore. I was holding something they feared. Something worth killing for. I didn't sleep after listening to the tape. I sat there on the dusty floor of that crumbling apartment, surrounded by whispers from the past and truths too sharp to hold with bare hands. Could it really be true? Yifeng, involved in illegal deals? Was my mother's death not an accident? A part of me screamed yes. But another part, the one scarred from years of being called nothing, whispered that I was making it up. That I wanted someone to blame so badly, I'd see ghosts in the shadows. By morning, my hands were still shaking. I stared at the cassette, the photos, the scribbled notes in her handwriting. My throat ached. My chest burned with something I hadn't let myself feel in years. Rage. Loss. Loneliness so deep it made my bones ache. Why now? Why show me this after she is gone? Why did she wait? And what was I supposed to do? Confront them? Go to the media? Who would believe the bastard heir over the golden boy of E Holdings? I walked into the mansion again like a ghost. Silent. Unseen. But everything felt different. The way the maids glanced at me. The way Yifeng didn't joke this time when we crossed paths in the hallway. The way Shinro watched me from across the grand dining table, her eyes cold, calculating. They knew I had something. I could feel it. I kept the cassette hidden in my coat pocket, my fingers wrapped around it like a lifeline. At dinner, Izhen's nurse, an older woman named Aunt May, leaned in close as she refilled my tea. "Your mother used to hum the same song," she whispered. I froze. Her eyes softened. "She visited once. Years ago. Asked about the nursery on the third floor." "The what?" "She wanted to know if your father had kept it. Back when he thought, you might come live here." I swallowed hard. That night, I snuck up to the third floor. The nursery was still there, locked, untouched, like a ghost room in a haunted house. A name painted half on the wall, the rest faded under peeling wallpaper. Ji. My name. It was supposed to be Jihao. I had never seen anything of mine here before. Nothing that proved I belonged. I stepped inside, heart pounding. It was quiet. Too quiet. I moved to the bookshelf, ran my fingers along the old stuffed animals, cracked picture frames, dust-heavy memories that never got to breathe. Then I noticed it, a camera. Tucked high in the corner, the red light barely blinking. A live feed? I stumbled back, panic rising. I'd been watching. All along. The next morning, Shinro cornered me near the staircase. "You've been snooping," she said, her voice low and sharp. I said nothing. She stepped closer. "Careful, Jihao. This family has a way of erasing things that don't fit." My blood ran cold. She smiled. "But maybe you're smarter than I thought. Maybe we could help each other." "What are you talking about?" "There's more than one way to survive in this house," she whispered. "And more than one person who wants Yifeng gone." I didn't know if she was threatening me or offering an alliance. Maybe both. Back in my room, I locked the door and sank to the floor. What was I even doing? I wasn't a fighter. I wasn't a schemer like them. All my life, I wanted to disappear. And now the spotlight burned hotter than ever. But my mother's voice echoed in my head, "Just one person who never gives up on you. She died trying to protect something. And now that something was me. So I made a choice. I wouldn't run. Not yet. I thought I was being careful. I deleted my browser history. Hid the cassette in a hollowed-out book. Acted like I didn't know a thing. But paranoia creeps like fog. Quiet. Smothering. Unshakable. Every footstep behind me felt too close. Every glance lingered too long. And then, the box disappeared. The one with my mother's recordings. The papers. The pictures. Gone. No signs of forced entry. No broken locks. Just silence, and a hole in my chest. I tore the room apart, desperate. Screaming. Gasping. The floor spun. My hands bled from smashing the drawer in panic. I had nothing left. I ran out into the hall, heart hammering, about to shout, about to do something. When I saw Aunt May. She was crying. "What happened?" I asked, trying to steady my voice. She looked up, lips trembling. It's your father. Izhen." I rushed to his room. He was gone. Dead. And just like that, the last piece of the puzzle was buried in a coffin. The doctors said it was peaceful. Old age, they claimed. But I saw the nurse's pale face. I saw how Yifeng didn't flinch when he signed the papers. How Shinro touched his arm just a second too long. They weren't grieving. They were celebrating. At the funeral, they dressed me in a black suit that didn't fit. Yifeng stood by the casket like a prince reclaiming his throne. Photographers swarmed. To them, I was just the scandal in the background. But then it happened. A girl, no older than 20, rushed through the crowd, her hair a mess, her voice shaking. Zhihao. I blinked. She threw something into my hands, a flash drive. They killed her, she whispered. Your mother. My mother. All of them. Just like they killed him. What? My mother was a nurse. She worked the same floor. She saw something. She recorded everything. This is the backup. Don't trust anyone. And then she disappeared into the crowd. I clutched the drive like it was my last breath. That night, I snuck out of the estate and found an internet cafe downtown. I plugged it in. Videos. Dozens. One showed Yifeng meeting with a man in a suit. Another showed Shenro slipping something into a drink. But the last one. It was dated just weeks before my mother's death. She was in a hospital gown. Her voice was barely audible. If anything happens to me, know this, Yifeng paid off the doctors. He wanted me dead. I had proof. About offshore accounts. The bribes. He thought killing me would make it disappear. I leaned back in the chair, shaking. My mother didn't die of cancer. My father didn't die of old age. And I was next. I didn't sleep that night. Not because I was scared. Because I was done being scared. Done being the silent heir. The broken boy. The disposable bastard. I stood outside the Yi family boardroom the next morning, dressed in the same wrinkled black suit from the funeral. They were all there, Yifeng at the head of the table, Shenro by his side, the board members surrounding them like loyal wolves ready to feast. Why is he here? Yifeng sneered when he saw me. I stepped inside without a word and tossed the flash drive on the mahogany table. Play it, I said. Silence. Then Shenro gave a tight smile and reached for the laptop. I could feel her heartbeat rise as she hesitated. She knew. She knew what was coming. The first video played. Yifeng, handing a thick envelope to a man in a white coat. Consider it, compensation, he said coldly. Gasps filled the room. Fake, Yifeng snapped. That's AI, anyone can doctor. The second video started before he could finish. Shenro, smiling as she slipped powder into a teacup. My father's teacup. More gasps. The chairman of the board stood, face white. Stop this nonsense. Yifeng shouted, slamming his fist down. He's trying to destroy the family. The final clip began. My mother's face, pale but composed, looked straight into the camera. If you're watching this. I didn't die of cancer. Yifeng paid for my silence. When I refused, he arranged for my treatment to be altered. He wanted the inheritance. And he's willing to kill for it. The room was dead silent when it ended. My heart pounded, but I kept my voice steady. This is your golden boy. The one you chose over truth. Over blood. Over honor. A beat passed. Then chaos exploded. Board members shouted over one another. One of them called security. Another demanded Yifeng be removed pending investigation. Yifeng lunged across the table. You think you've won? He roared. You think this makes you one of us? I didn't move. I don't want to be one of you. He grabbed the flash drive and smashed it to the ground. But it was too late. I already made copies, I said calmly. One's with a journalist. Another with my lawyer. You can't bury this anymore. Shenro backed away, eyes wide, mascara streaking down her cheeks. I told you this would happen, she hissed at Yifeng. You should have killed him when we had the chance. I turned to her. Maybe next time, pick a partner who doesn't leave evidence behind. Security guards entered. Ifong was dragged out screaming, shouting curses, threatening revenge. And for the first time, I saw fear in his eyes. Real fear. I didn't smile. I didn't cry. I just stood there, letting the silence wash over me like a wave. The family that hated me, had just been forced to see me. And I was no longer invisible. The mansion was quiet now. Too quiet. Ifong was under house arrest, awaiting a criminal investigation. Shinro vanished. Some say she fled the country, others claim she was seen at the docks, crying into her shattered future. And me? I was offered everything. The board wanted me to take the helm. You're the rightful heir, they said. The face we need. But I didn't want their throne. I just wanted peace. For the first time in my life, I had leverage. Power. Money. Revenge. And yet, none of it brought my mother back. Her ashes still sat in a porcelain urn on my desk, untouched. I moved back into her old apartment. Repainted the walls. Repaired the floorboards. Planted flowers on the balcony the way she used to talk about when she couldn't sleep. The nightmares didn't go away. But they softened. A week after everything exploded, I got another call, from Dr. Chen, the one who first warned me. They found traces of fentanyl in your father's system, she said softly. It wasn't just your mother they silenced. I didn't cry. I thanked her and hung up. Another secret. Another wound. And still, I remained. At night, I listened to my mother's old recordings. Not the ones about Ifong or the conspiracy, but the ones she left when she was alone. Her quiet humming. Her bedtime stories. Her little messages to me as a baby. If you ever hear this, Jihao, know you were loved. Even when the world tried to convince you otherwise. Sometimes I wished I could answer her. Tell her I made it. Tell her I exposed them. Tell her I finally saw my name written on something that wasn't a hospital receipt or a rejection letter, but a headline. Illegitimate heir uncovers billionaire family's crimes. But headlines fade. What lingers are the people who stay. Like Aunt May, who still calls to ask if I've eaten. Like the girl who gave me the flash drive, Lien. She visits sometimes, and we talk about our mothers. About what it means to be children of women who were brave in secret. And sometimes, I still wonder. What if I hadn't picked up that phone? What if I had swallowed those pills a second faster? Would anyone have remembered me? Or would I have died just as quietly as I had lived, buried in someone else's shadow? Now, they beg me to stay. The board. The lawyers. The extended family who never knew my name but suddenly want to reconnect. You're the real heir, they say. You deserve everything. But I've learned something. I don't want what I deserve. I want what matters. So I left the city. Opened a small bookstore on the coast. Just me, the sound of waves, and a little coffee machine that breaks every other week. No marble floors. No blood-soaked inheritances. Just peace. I don't answer most calls. But sometimes, late at night, I listen to voicemails from Ifong, ranting, crying, bargaining. The fall from power doesn't sound glorious. It sounds hollow. And as I walk the beach barefoot in the early morning mist, I think about my mother. About that old nursery locked away in the mansion. About the life they tried to erase. I lived. Even when they didn't want me to. Even when I didn't want to. And maybe, just maybe, that's the greatest revenge of all.